In the past few days, or do I say weeks, Nigeria's National Assembly has found itself in the center of intense public scrutiny over how it conducts its legislative business. Late last year and early this year, controversy erupted over the tax reform laws after discrepancies emerged between what the legislature passed and what was later gazetted and made public, prompting civil society groups and political figures to call for investigations and even suspension of some of those acts. More recently, the Senate's handling of the Electoral Act amendment bill has sparked widespread debate. Amid protests and legal warnings, the upper chamber initially moved away from making real-time electronic transmission of results mandatory, a proposal seen by many advocates as essential for enhancing electoral credibility ahead of the 2027 general elections. The chamber eventually amended the bill to allow for e-transmission without the real-time specification. Yet, critics have questioned why the Senate's processes seem opaque at crucial junctures, why some amendments are altered or removed without clear flawed debates, why public trust appears eroded, and why modern legislative practices like electronic voting or recorded individual votes are not routinely carried out. Joining us this morning is former lawmaker and former governorship candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections in Imo State, Senator Athan Achonu. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
All right. I know that you've been following up with the issues that have brought the National Assembly to the spotlight, but do you see any much difference between what was passed, what has now been passed, as to what was passed before that led to the protest, the Occupy National Assembly protest? Do you see that much of a difference?
Most sincerely, there is not much difference in what was passed yesterday, because it has to be made mandatory. Real-time electronic transmission of votes must be made mandatory to make sure that our democracy survives. That's my take on that. Okay. So I've not read the details of what was passed, but from what I've been gathering from social media, nothing has changed.
I mean, as one who has followed closely the political landscape in Nigeria and having thrown your hat into the ring, do you think that the harmonization of the Nigerian Senate had to come this far before they were pushed to review what was initially agreed? Do you think Nigerians should push even further, or do you think that the lawmakers should be able to just think about doing what is right for the benefit of Nigerians and for democracy?
Majority of the lawmakers should simply do what is right. And then, from my own point of view, they are making this government look weak, which I don't think is in the best interest of the APC administration. Because let's ask us this question: how can a government, a party that has 30 governors out of 36 in its kitty, be afraid of a real-time mandatory electronic transmission of votes? So it means that they're doing something wrong. And as a government, they have enough time to make amends before that 2027 election, if they really want to govern Nigeria. So I believe that they're not doing anything in the best interest of this administration. They should do the right thing. Create enough confidence within the Nigerian population to support this government. So, but if they think that what they are doing is in the best interest of this administration, well, I have stopped commenting after my last World Press Conference, because I'm tired of talking about Nigeria, So, but I had to lend my voice because this is a very important legislation. It will save our democracy if we do the right thing. So I believe the Senate is capable. I'm surprised that Abaribe, when he raised that issue of everybody voting and Nigerians seeing who is voting what, had to withdraw it. That's what should have happened. so that the constituents will see what people who they send to Abuja to represent their interests are doing. That should have been the right thing to do.
Okay, sorry, you said you stopped talking about Nigerian issues. We just want to know why. And why are you disappointed in Abaribe on him withdrawing initial stand, saying everyone should vote?
I do not know what transpired. Okay. So from what I gathered from social media, so I can't really condemn Abaribe because I don't know what transpired actually. But I wouldn't have withdrawn it if I was in his shoes. But that was the right thing to do, unless it had something to do with legislative procedure in the Senate. So having said that, I'm tired of Nigeria because Nigerians are they're not doing the right thing. They're not at all. You could see all the issues I raised in my last interview. This was the same scenario I watched during Jonathan. If President Jonathan, wherever he is watching me now, will remember when he hosted all the PDP National Assembly candidates in the villa, I stood behind. I deliberately gave a gap of about four tables. I sat alone, gave a gap so he could be seeing me. After the meeting, when they stood up to greet him, I refused to stand up. I refused to go to him because I was disappointed. He was my friend. I supported him throughout his how many years. I was part of the whole struggle. But at the end, he trusted the wrong people. And Mr. President is making the same mistake. Remember, in my first interview after my election, I asked him a question. I said, where is Jagaban? Is he not this man who ruled Lagos, who was able to organize the Southwest? Why is he bringing the characters he's hanging around with now? Okay, like in my interview last time with you people, I said this man brought, for the first time, a president brought the correct programs. I said this because I believed in them. I even sponsored bills in that regard, like subsidy removal, like not exporting our solid minerals unless they are processed locally up to a certain level, even primary stage. All these things, most of the things he's doing, this tax issue, I support it, but they are doing it the wrong way. You see, so either the people who are advising him, who are working for him, and the way they're running their government, it's like they don't. Sometimes I wonder whether they believe that he's going to contest the 2027 election. It's as if they're just there for whatever they can get, all the people around him. And then this thing he's doing, concentrating on the Southwest, it's not in his best interest. There are so many things. This man brought the good policies that, if well implemented, will make him the greatest president in Africa. But they are going about it the wrong way,
Okay, Senator Achonu, let's focus a bit on the 10th Assembly. You had the privilege of sitting in the red chambers, so you're in a very good position to educate us on this. We've seen discrepancies in the way the 10th Assembly has gone about passing laws or in this legislative process. First was with the tax laws. A member of the House of Representatives, Abdul Samad Dasuki, did come up and say, look, what was passed is different from what we discussed in the chambers. And this also played out with this tax reforms. Can you walk us through how the Senate typically processes a bill from committee report to the final stage when it's sent for presidential assent? At what point are members expected to debate or vote on specific clauses?
You asked me a question. You said, why am I giving up on Nigeria? So that was what I was answering. I was telling you why. Do you understand? And then I was talking directly to the Senate, National Assembly, to do the right thing. That's why I said what I said, to show my disappointment with the system, that he's making the same mistake the former president made. Now, and then they are not helping him by not passing the right legislation that will promote true democracy. You understand me? So that's why I answered and gave you that response. So now, I have said before that what the legislature should do is to make the correct amendment. Do you understand? That is the only thing they need to do. Without it, I don't know what's going to happen in 2027. I'm worried. I'm worried about. Okay, please. What they are there to serve the interest of their constituencies, and then the only solution to this problem is what Abaribe suggested, so that the constituents will know who is representing them. You understand? Even though these senators are under the control of the governors, and then people are losing sight of the fact that the governors control the National Assembly, not even the president. And the president has 30 governors in his kitty, because the governors control the parties at the state level. So most of the time they dictate, I was in the Senate, they dictate what the senators do in the National Assembly. There is really no independence in the National Assembly, to be honest with you. So we should look at where the problem lies and how to solve it, going forward. That is why there must be that mandatory electronic transmission of votes real time, so that real people who the people voted will emerge, not those who the governors want, because the governors have the capability to write results, to rig elections in their various states. So that will end.
Okay. Senator Achonu, I think what we're trying to understand is the procedure, how are laws being passed in the Senate? Because what we're saying is we often would hear, minority caucus said, this one did not agree. At what point are they supposed to, go through the clauses? And when does a voice vote count? Because we've seen a lot of voice votes recently. How does the Senate decide what laws will be passed via voice notes instead of, going through some other form of physical voting, So walk us through the process of passing laws and how the Senate decides, or how the National Assembly decides what laws should be passed with voice votes, because it's a bit confusing for us.
Well, each assembly, I was in the 8th assembly, each assembly comes up with their own procedures. So that's why I said that I don't know what transpired, that I don't know what the regulations are in this assembly that made Abaribe to stand down. That's why I made that comment. Do you understand? So I've not been following the internal workings of the National Assembly since I left, because I really left. I was disappointed. That's why I left. So having said that, I don't know what the procedures are right now, what internal laws guide the debate inside the Senate. So whatever it is, it should be in the interest of the constituents that they represent. So, and they know that, and they can, if they are not happy with what's going on, of course they will challenge whatever rules and regulations guide them. That's the character of the Senate.
Okay.
They will challenge it.
All right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to. Okay. Aside from the current one that has been passed, looking at the electoral reforms, my question to you would now look into the political landscape. So far, so good. There's been so many killings here and there. Just this morning, we talked about another one again in Benue State. Not forgetting to the one that just happened in another state as well. It's just going back and forth. And yet, we see the interest.
Come again? I didn't hear you very well.
I'm talking about the insecurity, the killings. The killings
Okay.
and the insecurity that's affecting Nigerians in different states. Yet we see that politicking still remains at the top of the conversation. What's your take on that? Do you think that the administration might want to possibly relax a little bit on politicking and focus on ensuring that Nigerians are safe?
If you remember my last interview, that's exactly what I said, that they're distracting the government from doing what they're supposed to do. But what insecurity? You can't have insecurity unless the government doesn't want to tackle it. So let's be honest. Like, let me give you an example of Imo State, where I come from, where I contested against APC. The insecurity everywhere in the world is because government allows it. As far as I'm concerned, because in Imo State, all the areas where you had insecurity were the areas where they wrote results. So maybe they didn't want, I don't know, I'm not sure, but maybe they didn't want elections to take place there. So most of the places where they where they garnered all their votes from are places where the insecurity was thriving. Okay, now I'm surprised that, anyway, I'm going to say more in my press conference. I'm going to call a world press conference, maybe in the next 2-3 days in the US, yeah, which I'll distribute to news networks in Nigeria, to say my piece, because I'm not happy. I'm really disappointed.
And your take on the $9 million payment made to a PR firm to keep Nigeria going, especially on the international scene, the $9 million lobbyist firm?
I hope I answered your question on insecurity.
No, I'm talking about the lobbyist firm, the update on the lobbyists. I'm sure, I don't know if you're aware of that.
I don't know what's going on with the lobby. I don't know what's going on with the lobby in America. I'm not part of it. I'm not in APC, so I'm not part of their lobby. I only know what I read in the newspapers. But I hope I answered your question on insecurity. Insecurity is government, if government wants to stop it. Didn't America give a Christmas present to the terrorists? If government wants to stop it, they know what to do.
All right.
So that's my take on it, yeah.
Senator Athan Achonu, thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. We're looking forward to seeing your world media report and having conversations with you after that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.